As we begin our spiritual path, our minds can convince us not to go on this path because it brings up very scary ideas of what I might become. And I'm here to debunk some of these fears because, quite frankly, the mind has no idea where this is going. So we know that this isn't a mind-based journey. We can't think our way deeper into this path, and we can't think our way into realizations. Although the mind can be a very helpful tool, it doesn't know where this journey's going. And therefore, perhaps, when the mind brings up mind stuff, fears mainly, then we might recognize that it comes from ego, and we might notice that it's just trying to protect us from pain, the pain that we felt in the past, and it's going to try and protect us from feeling that pain in the future. Now, some of us might have felt some pain in the past related to being socially ostracized or something like this, or humiliated, or maybe that's just been something that's been breeding inside of us for a while. And these are some of the reasons why the mind fears going this way, because it's so new, and because the mind loves an identity and it thinks that we're going to become a super spiritual person. And sometimes, if we've seen some of these super spiritual people, we can see that it can be a bit ungrounded, and therefore we think, oh God, what if I become that? And that is not what's going to happen. In an authentic path or in an authentic awakening, the mind will bring up these fears. Of course, it's just trying to protect you. But we're going to debunk some of the 4 biggest fears that I recognized in myself at the start of the journey. We're going to debunk them now. Number 1, the mind will put up that fear. It's one of the big fears. This fear of, I'm afraid of who I'm going to become. Now, what does that mean? Well, I look back at my life. Bear in mind, in this journey, we're changing, really, transforming on the inside. And we can do that whole thing undercover. We don't need to let anybody know that I'm going through a spiritual awakening, although sometimes we want to, because otherwise it can be isolating. We can sort of live 2 lives, and I also did that for a while too. But it's good for a while, maybe, I don't know. It was good for me to do that, so that I kept some of my sanity, because people will happily tell you you're going crazy. And so sometimes it's good not to open up too much to people that perhaps may not understand this stuff. But back to my point, we're scared of what we're going to become because we see these images and we see the great teachers and the great sages of this world becoming almost, not really, but like almost representational of Buddhas, isn't it? So peaceful, so relaxed, so in the robes of a monk or something, and perhaps we project our life into theirs and think we're going to become this thing that we may not, because God may not need us to play that role. Sometimes our feeling is our best guidance rather than the mind. And if there's not a feeling that you're ever going to play that role as a Buddha or somebody who's really deep into this path, then the likelihood is that you're not. But transformation is still there to be able to be harnessed. New power, new confidence is able to be harnessed. But the one thing stopping us from that might be that fear. Oh God, what if I become that? Don't worry. You're probably not going to become that if that fear's there, that we might become this. For example, me. Look, I wear normal clothes. I'm just a normal guy. I do my practices every day, but it hasn't really changed me wanting to live a normal life and blend into society. We can just do it a bit undercover, isn't it? Not every conversation has to be about spirituality, for example. We can just be friend Jamie, rather than impressing our views on everyone. Anyway, I'm going off topic a bit. Let's move on to the second fear. The second fear, and I know there's one in me, was that I was scared that I was going to become too nice and people won't like you. There's a great saying, isn't there? Treat them mean, keep them keen. And it's what our boys are taught in a way to relate to women. And of course, this is crazy. But when we're taught it by our peers and our elders that that's the way that we should be, of course we believe that that's the way we should be, and then no wonder we have no luck with women, right? In fact, these are just fear-based belief systems inside of ourselves. Or if I become too nice, people won't like me. But that isn't true. The nicer I become, the more people like me, is the truth. Now, does that mean that we lose our edge, our kinks, our quirks? No. The third biggest fear that we might recognise inside of ourselves is that we think we're going to lose the things that we love about ourselves. And this just isn't true. We project that fear into the future, isn't it? And we almost say, all right, screw it, I'm not going down this journey. Or we halt our progress on the journey because we have this fear, oh, I'm going to lose these things that I hold dear and that I really love. And that's just not the way it is. Life is really merciful and really kind. And the things that are meant for you, you'll get. And the things that we hold dear about ourselves, even our kinks, our quirks, every rose has a thorn, right? And if we want to keep those thorns, and sometimes, the rose can't cut its own thorns off, right? Those thorns are the things that make the rose in its fullest form. And so don't worry, we can all be dicks and we can all keep our kinks and our quirks. We're not here to lose the things that we love and that we find the most joy and pleasure out of. That's just not the things that get taken away from us. And if they are taken away from us in the future, then we'd be ready for them to be taken away from us. Meaning, we'll hold on, we'll keep our autonomy and hold on to these things, even if they're damaging. There's nothing to worry about. If we want to keep hold of them, we can. There's no pressure. It's just, as we go down this journey, we might see, oh, this isn't really serving me anymore. This isn't keeping me open, and it's actually keeping me quite restricted. And then in that moment, perhaps we may want to change, but it will be our choice. 4. I touched on this, but my teacher used to wear All Saints clothing, and some of you have probably seen it. I actually had a few comments on it, introducing me to the idea of a Behemoth or something. Anyway, it's this skull thing, but it's an All Saints logo, and my teacher wore some All Saints clothing, and I thought, oh yeah, this makes him cool because he's wearing All Saints clothing. My teacher was never the representation of a stone Buddha or a monk or anything like that, though he had gone and been a monk for a year. Basically, the fear here is that I can't live a normal life. Number 4, I can't live a normal life and I can't wear nice clothes. Or I'm just going to end up in an orange monk robe. And the thing is, if the feeling's right to wear those clothings, then great. It may get you more respect on this journey. If you're a teacher or something. But is that the thing is, the feeling would be there to wear it. If I wanted to wear it. For me, it's not. Maybe in the future it might be. I'll never say never to anything. But right now, I'm holding on to things that I like nice clothes. And that's absolutely fine. We wear it because we want to wear it, not because it gives us some sort of inflated sense of self, no, but because we want to. Don't worry, there's nothing forcing you into a certain way of life here. You can keep as much as you like, get rid of what you like. This journey is just about becoming more consciously human and more conscious with the actions that we're doing. God doesn't care what clothes you wear, 5, and this is the most important one maybe, because it was for me. I had this fear that I was never going to have sex again, or that I would never be able to find a relationship. And actually the interesting thing was, the way I was before I did all of this transformational work, I couldn't find a girlfriend. And the reason was because I wasn't a very nice guy. Sometimes the reason we don't have someone, and this doesn't go for everyone at all, but for me, the reason I didn't have anyone or couldn't find a relationship was because I was not ready for one. Very selfish, very self-centered. And so, by doing the work that I've done, I actually found a girlfriend. Why? Because I'd cleared enough of my crap. And so we have this fear, I'll never have sex again, or I'll never have a relationship. Well, just debunk that one right now, because if that were true, there wouldn't be any kids running around. How would the human race continue to evolve if at the top of the evolutionary tree, those at the top didn't have sex? It doesn't make sense, does it? Of course, you'll still have sex and you'll probably be more ready for a relationship when we begin bringing these spiritual principles into our lives and acting them out and creating transformation through that. These fears are of the mind, and the mind has no idea where this journey is going. We just do our practices daily, our sadhana, and if you're interested, down below there's a free breathing practice that will get you started on awakening some of that energy inside of ourselves that will create deep transformation inside. There's a free Facebook community as well down below. If you're going through an awakening journey, you don't really know what's happening, there's a great support network in there for you. There's some wonderful people in there who continue sharing, and I love you deeply if you're doing that in that group. Thank you for your continued input. It's definitely valued, and I see it all, so thank you very much. As well, there's the one-to-one coaching you can apply for down below. It's free to apply, the coaching itself isn't free, and there's a living yoga method that you can have a look at down below too. I hope this video helps. The mind will throw up fear. Fear is what feeds the ego, and it tends to be wrong. In fact, I would say in my life I worry about 95% of things that never happen. And so perhaps we see that there's not so much reality in these egoic fears. Sometimes there are. You know, when we get to a certain level of purity inside of the system, we will begin manifesting these fear-based things. That's all right, but at the start, we're protected. It's okay. We're just incubating. We're protected. The universe doesn't seem to be anyway so hard on you if you think a negative thought, because at the start, that's all we're thinking, isn't it? There seems to be an incubation of protection around you. So we relax and we trust and we have faith that we've been led here for a reason. And we do the work inside of ourselves, and in changing the inside world, the outside world then begins to change. It must. It's law. I hope this helps. Namaste.